Have you ever noticed that you feel uncomfortable receiving cash payments or when you're using cash to pay for things? Like you're doing something kind of wrong and people around you are judging you for using cash. Now, let me tell you a little secret. That feeling that you have is actually part of a well-crafted plan by the financial institutions to manipulate cultural perceptions and do a mass persuasion towards a cashless society. They want us to rely on their digital payment systems because they make more money that way. Basically, they want you to think that only criminals use cash. Money Arata. There are three ways to change people's behavior. We can use laws, we can use technology, and we can use culture. Now let's see exactly how all of this works, but you have to realize that these institutions are using culture to shape our society. They use advertising campaigns to make us feel awkward using cash and make people more and more dependent on their digital payment systems that they control. They want us to make us believe that cash is only used by criminals, that it is dirty, it is dangerous, it harms the environment. But the truth is that cash is a powerful tool that protects our freedom, our privacy, and our ability to make our own financial decisions. So don't let them take that away from us. We have to be aware of this brainwashing, this propaganda. We have to make our own informed decisions about how we want to pay, how we want to use our own money. Please keep in mind that this material is not financial advice. Please read the full disclaimer. Businesses need to make a profit. They have marketing campaigns that help to promote their products and services. Payments companies like Visa and MasterCard benefit from the shift to this cashless society. So what is the advantage for them? Well, it's just that they charge fees for the electronic transactions. And in 2016, Visa launched a campaign called Cash Free and Proud that encouraged people to use their contactless payment cards instead of cash. And Visa tried to get people's attention with the message that using this technology would free people from this inconvenience of having to carry cash. This campaign is part of Visa's long-term strategy to make cash seem weird, strange, unwanted. This is an example of how advertising is used as a weapon to manipulate public opinion and make people feel uncomfortable using cash. Private payment companies present themselves as the liberators, but their ultimate goal is just to make more money by getting more people to use their electronic payment services. There are several organizations and companies participating in this campaign to discourage the use of cash and promote digital payment methods. And one example of that is Penny for London, a group established in 2014 by the former mayor of London and Barclaycard. This group used charitable causes as a way to encourage people to use contactless cards on the London Underground. And PayPal also played a role in this type of campaign. They were showing signs in cities with the message, "New money needs no wallet." They were releasing some videos saying that new money is not paper, it is progress. American Express also supported campaigns such as the No Cash Day, which emphasized the negative environmental impact of paper money. Other tactics used in this campaign include pointing out that cash is often used by criminals, it helps to fuel underground economies, it is unsafe, and it facilitates tax evasion. Now, maybe someone now is a little bit stunned, thinking, whoa, so you mean that the credit card companies want to sway the public opinion to make us use more cards and less cash, less paper money? Well, yes, of course. This is all normal. This is expected. These are public companies. They have pressure from their investors to grow their businesses to make more profits. So they have marketing campaigns, marketing departments, people who have to take care of figuring out how to increase profits. And the use of these campaigns to shape public opinion should be no surprise at all. It has to be expected, right? Society can change due to law, technology, and culture. Companies are using culture to change our perception of money. Have you ever thought about how society as a whole changes its behavior? There are many different ways to do this, such as through laws, technology, and culture. Let's take a look at the cigarette example. We've all seen laws banning smoking in certain places like airplanes and restaurants. The law is a very effective way to make change. But we can also take a look at technology. We could make different types of cigarettes with less addictive substances. But we can also change the culture to make that change. You can think of campaigns to make smoking look ugly, less socially acceptable. To achieve a certain type of a purpose and behavior, we can try to change the perception of people. Likewise, there are companies that are investing in cultural campaigns to make it look like cash is bad, paper money is bad. They want us to believe that using paper money is an old-fashioned, dirty, and even criminal activity. It is said that only delinquents, only criminals use paper money. Why are you using cash? They want us to believe that going out on the street without cash is actually safer. They want you to think that the person who uses paper money is doing this maybe because they're trying to evade taxes. Beware of the logical fallacies that companies use to trick you into believing that paper money should be eliminated. Taking the interests of big businesses into account, you can now get an idea of why you're feeling a little bit guilty, a little bit embarrassed whenever you're paying with cash. It is no coincidence that as cashless payment methods have become more commonplace, the use of paper money has been portrayed as old-fashioned, dirty, and even criminal. But now let's take a closer look at these claims. First of all, it is true that some criminals do use cash, paper money. But they also use a number of other things like cars and blankets. Should we ban these things as well? Of course not. Most people who use paper money do that because of perfectly legitimate reasons. So to say that only criminals use cash is a perverse attempt to manipulate your perception. The war on the informal economy ignores the fact that there are a billion invisible people who do not have access to the banking system. In addition to all of this, there is also the argument that cash is used in the black market, in the informal economy. This is a derogatory term often used by the elites to describe economic activities that people do and people who are so poor that they're not considered in their plans for society. You can think of a homeless person, for example, giving some old torn bills to some old lady in a flea market. Come on, do you really expect these people to be using a contactless card to make this type of transaction? It is absurd to expect people living in poverty to switch to digital. Therefore, we can see that this push towards a cashless digital payment society, it is only to increase the reach of the middle class as consumers, while completely ignoring the needs, the realities of the poorest. Invisible people will continue not to have access to banking services because for the elites, they don't matter. We already talked about the existence of the invisible people without access to the banking services in the episode number 17 of the Money Arata series. Having your wallet stolen is a big problem, but losing all your savings in a digital attack is even worse. Another argument in favor of a cashless society is that it is safer. Now you don't have to worry about going to the street and being mugged, being robbed, because now you're not going to be carrying paper money in your wallet. But the truth is that having a few bucks, that paper money, cash, stolen from your wallet does not compare to having your entire savings completely siphoned off by manipulation, by hacking of your digital account. Worst of all, there is the counterparty risk. Cash money, cash is an instrument that I carry with me. I have something that I can use to buy things. Now, a digital cash system is just credit. It is the right that I hope to have to use in the company's system to make payments. But there is also the possibility that the company will not fulfill its obligation, either because it has a financial problem, it has a technical errors, or maybe just wants to censor me and remove me from their platform or just freeze my money. To really learn more about counterparty risk, you should watch episode number 50 of the Money Arata series. Tax evasion by large companies is being ignored, while small ones are persecuted. Now finally, there's the argument that cash allows ordinary people to avoid taxes. Imagine small transactions for service providers. I don't know, when you go to the hairdresser who accepts only cash and pays no taxes on that. Now, if we're really concerned about fraud, perhaps we should focus on the big players, large corporate tax evasion that is facilitated by the formal banking sector. But again, what they really want you to do is to enforce the tax laws, not on the oligarchs and big corporations that have influence in political decisions. What they want to do is to squeeze the little guy, like you and me. So in conclusion, the arguments against cash are full of logical fallacies. It is important to be aware of the advertising propaganda campaigns that are trying to make us feel awkward using cash. And we also have to make informed decisions about how we want to pay. So please don't let the financial institutions and their allies to manipulate your cultural perception. the choice is yours. If there is counterparty risk, it is not money, it's credit. It is very important to make a clear distinction between what is money and what is credit. Cash is money because it is a bearer instrument. Whomever has it has the money. It means that nobody keeps track on who owns that money. In other words, possession is property. Whomever has the money owns the money. Cash in your wallet is a bearer instrument. Instead of cash, now you can have credit, which is something completely different. Someone sets up a database to keep track of who has money. That database keeps a record on what money can be assigned to which person, and in this system, you are vulnerable to counterparty risk. The centralized database can go down, can get hacked. Even worse, the company might decide that you violated some terms of service and will decide to freeze your money. You can't use it anymore. If there is counterparty risk, it is not money, it is just credit. And that is why Bitcoin is the only digital money. When you have your own keys, Bitcoin has no counterparty risk. It is a bearer instrument. Keep in mind that cash has its own practical drawbacks, but digital credit is not real money. This makes you trust intermediaries, makes you be vulnerable to counterparty risk. You have less privacy. That's where Bitcoin comes in, offering the benefits of cash, of real money, the convenience of digital money. And that's why you should harness the power of financial independence and free choice by visiting the Bitcoin class at arata.se/diamondhands.